Hey, we're Saints. Good to see you, beautiful people. Glad you are with us on this beautiful Thursday and glad to have you, beautiful people, with us. We've been talking about making a powerful impact by making the most of the time. We talked about on Monday. Greg led us through a great example, a great image through Benjamin Franklin. Like, son, time is fleeting. If you delay, time ain't gonna stop and you can't get it back. And as we progressed from there, I want to find ourselves today exploring the second half of Ephesians 5, verse 4. We read it yesterday. We talked a little bit about putting off silliness and filthy talk and levity so that we have space to focus on the right things. And once you put that off, there's room, there's an opening, there's space in your time to fill it with something else. And St. Paul, he gives us a great word. I'm going to talk about it here about what do we fill that newfound time with. And he says the following. Listen to Ephesians verse 4, chapter 5, verse 4. Let there be no filthiness, nor silly talk, nor levity, which are not fitting, but instead let there be thanksgiving. It's a beautiful, beautiful. I love it. It's just a beautiful verse. Evcharistia, that's the word he uses, thanksgiving, which in the Orthodox Church, we even use that word for the Eucharist, right? To give thanks. It's the same word as the American holiday of Thanksgiving. We give thanks to God for all of the rich blessings that we have. And in a world that's kind of like, chaotic a little bit, and we got all kinds of things going on in the world, as you well know, and obviously, most notably, this pandemic, which may be coming, hopefully, an endemic, and hopefully will go away forever, right? But it's been a tough run, and all of the things that accompany that. It's hard to look around sometimes and say thanks, but if you have a mental attitude, let's call it a gratitude attitude, you will start to look at things and be deliberate about saying, whoa, look at the blessings I have. Like, it's very easy. Let me just rant a little bit here. It's very easy for Americans to whine and complain. And I say that because just about everything that we consume in media, whether it be social media or the news outlets or whatever we consume, everything's pretty negative. I mean, if you really look at the headlines, read the key words in the headlines, you see anger producing and hateful and sad words, right? They're instigating emotions inside you that make you hear like if you go to the news, you hear things like riot and war and anger and destruction, and you hear these words and you're like, how can you not be angry and hateful and sad and self-centered? It's a deliberate attempt because that stuff sells. That's the stuff that makes you click. But what if you had an attitude of gratitude, right? We call that, by the way, in our book, The Way of the Warrior Saint, chapter 17 is that very thing. It's called a gratitude attitude. I mean, we talk about how can we be deliberate about setting an attitude of thanksgiving, of thankfulness, to say to God, you know what? Thank you. Now, in the last couple of weeks, I've been all over the place. I was in Philadelphia, I was in Pittsburgh, now I'm back in Phoenix, and it's a very different world. Let me tell you, we woke up in Pittsburgh, my daughter and I were on college tours. We woke up in the morning and it was 4. And I'm like, it's not 24, it's not 34, it was 4. I mean, and my Arizona body is not accustomed to all that kind of, coldness. It was freezing. I mean, I bundled up, I looked like the Pillsbury Doughboy, right? Like I was all just puffy because I had so many layers. And it would be easy to whine. But as I walked out into the city, I was like, oh my gosh, look at where I live. I mean, sorry, look at where I am. I don't live there. I'm looking around and I'm like, it's beautiful. The snow on the ground was perfectly white. Beautiful. Hadn't yet been, dirtied up by the plow trucks and, all that kind of salt and the stuff that they do to get rid of the snow. It was pristine. It was white. And my breath was coming out, when you can see your breath, and it was cold, but it was like refreshing in a weird sense. And I was like, you know what? Thank God for this. It was just something I said in my mind. Now, we got on the plane. We came back to Phoenix from the 4, and it was 74. So it was like a 70-degree swing. And I'm looking around, and it was sunny. And the grass here right now is green because this is our high season. And the sky was blue, and the clouds were white and puffy. And I'm looking around, I'm like, oh my gosh, This is beautiful. It's a different beautiful, 70 degrees worth of different, but it was a different beautiful, and yet it was still amazing. And I looked really inside, I'm like, thank God. Because the attitude, and I'm not special, I'm just saying I want you to have in your mind an attitude to be thankful for all things. You can look at 4 degrees and complain. Or you can say, you know what? I'm going to find a way to be grateful. And that can trickle over into all aspects of your life, where you look at things. It's a choice that you make to decide, to deliberately decide that I am going to be grateful. Now, here's the great outcome of having a gratitude attitude, is that everything starts to become a little bit different. Rather than get lost in all of those like social media words we talked about that are like anger producing and hate producing and fear producing, we start to find ourselves finding freedom. We become a little bit more grateful, obviously, but a little bit happier, where we recognize like, oh, it may not be perfect, but I can find the blessing in that. Oh, it may be 4 degrees and really cold, but I can find a blessing in that. I can see the white snow for what it is. I can see the warmth of my breath dissipating in the cold air for what it is. I can see the time with my daughter for what it is. I can see the fact that I've been blessed enough to travel across this great country and spend time with my daughter and tour colleges and hopefully one day send her to college so that she can start her life. And I can be thankful for the blessings, even though she's going to leave me and go to school somewhere else, that she will be offering something to the world, her very best to the world. Like you could see, it becomes an attitude of gratitude. It is not something that you will get for free. You have to decide. And so all of my rambling and disparate talk today is to tell you only one thing. You can make that choice. You can decide to have an attitude of gratitude. So as St. Paul says to us in Ephesians, leave the filthy talk, the levity, the silliness, leave it aside, and embrace instead a gratitude attitude. And then go out there and get some. Love you, beautiful people. Don't forget to visit warriorsaints.org. Check out what we offer there. Till tomorrow, keep walking on the way of the warrior saint.